North to south, coast to coast. This is the Wells Report. Greetings. My name is John David Wells. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here. Hope all is well. Life is good. We have something that we almost never have in Texas. We have a cool day. I mean, it's like, seriously? Yeah, we have a seriously cool day today. It's very, very pleasant out there. And I hope that you are having a pleasant day as well. Welcome to the broadcast. Lots of things to cover coming up in just a couple of moments. We will be having the current chairman of the Republican Party in the state of Texas. And we'll be talking with him. That is State Chairman James Dickey. We'll be talking with him about the huge role that Texas plays in national politics. There has been a concerted effort for the past couple of election cycles to try to turn Texas blue. It is a deep red state, and the Democrat Party has been working very, very hard to change the collective minds of Texans. We'll talk a little bit about what Mr. Dickey thinks is the future for that, and we'll also talk to him about what his plans are for the Republican Party moving forward when we talk to him after the bottom of the hour. In the meantime, politics around the world, there is a new British Prime Minister. His name is Boris Johnson. He is of the Conservative Party, and he is going to take over right at the end of the month. He's kind of Trumpian. Let me explain what I'm talking about. There's a superb article on this on CNN.com. Luke McGee wrote it. It's very, very good, and you should read it. As a matter of fact, I'll share some of it with you right now. This is a guy who is being described in Britain as one of the most divisive politicians of his generation. The governing Conservative Party announced the result of the leadership contest today in what many believed was a foregone conclusion. His opponent, Jeremy Hunt, of the Labour Party, failed to turn around the Johnson juggernaut. The crucial question being asked in the UK at a critical moment in the nation's history is just exactly what drives this man. The best way to answer that is to understand why he is so divisive. Now let's spend a little bit of time talking about this. Remember, the Republican Party of the United States is a rough analog of the Conservative Party, or the Tories, of the UK. Likewise, the Democrat Party is represented in Britain by the Labour Party, and the ideas and so on that cover both of these different parties, both conservative and perhaps liberal, are roughly analogous to what happens in the United States. It's interesting to me that a firebrand politician like Boris Johnson would be the person that the Conservative Party picked. Remember, Boris Johnson was a guy who broke from the Conservative Party when David Cameron tried to stop the exit from the EU, Britain's exit from the EU, called the Brexit. Boris Johnson was in the Conservative Party, and at the last moment decided to go ahead and support splitting off from the European Union. There were a lot of people in Britain very upset with the European Union. It was like British sovereignty was being turned over to a bunch of guys at The Hague in Brussels. Really? Seriously? And they were having real problems with that. The European Union works. There's no doubt about it. I've seen it for myself. Instead of having to stop at customs in every country in Europe, you essentially check into the EU and you're set. I was really surprised, in fact. But the way they do it, customs for the EU is represented by all countries in the EU, and they have their security guys there, and they all work together, and it works really well. It does not, however, work for a majority, as it turns out, of the people of Britain. So when it comes to divisiveness, when it comes to being able to polarize people, Boris Johnson is definitely one of those guys. He absolutely polarized the Conservative Party. It was a stupid mistake to bring up Brexit in the first place, depending on your point of view. But once the cat was out of the bag, the Conservative Party said, no, we have to stay. And the Labour Party said, are you kidding? Let's get away from all of this. And by golly, what ended up happening is that after Boris Johnson switched, they decided to get away from the EU. So there would be a lot of reasons, there would be a lot of sore feelings in the Conservative Party over Boris Johnson. How he won the prime ministership remains a mystery because of all of that. When it comes to his personal style, he has kind of a chaotic way of doing politics. It is offensive to some. It enthralls others. A polarizing figure. He makes, apparently, thoughtless comments like another extremely popular politician we happen to know, saying that, say, for example, that women who wear Islamic face veils look like letterboxes. Oh, man. Or calling people from the British Commonwealth flag-waving pickaninnies with watermelon smiles. I don't know what he's talking about there, but that's the quote. I'm sure it has a different meaning in the UK than it does here in the United States, but I read that and I went, really? Nicky Morgan, the Conservative member of Parliament and former cabinet minister, sees how this could be a hindrance for Johnson when he takes office and has to face an electorate beyond his own party. Remember, they have question time in Britain, where during meetings of the Parliament, the Prime Minister sits and takes questions from everyone. And it is a very entertaining chess game between the de facto leader of the country, the at least parliamentarian leader of the country, and the opposing parties, and even his own party. And those questions and those answers, they are thoroughly serious and oftentimes very, very entertaining. If you can turn on BBC at some point and watch a session of the Parliament, you will see what I'm talking about. Nicky Morgan, a Conservative member of Parliament, former cabinet minister, sees this is going to be a hindrance for Johnson. He is somewhat careless speaking. I think he recognizes that what he says now causes a reaction, says Morgan. He'll still be asked about comments he's made in the past and probably wants to move on from those. Again, like a certain president we all know. In this era of today's politics, it's very, very difficult to move on. It's absolutely true. There are so many pieces of video available to so many people on a whim. It's nearly impossible to escape. Nearly impossible to escape. He can be very charming. He makes great efforts to win people over. From what I understand, he is a flatterer. Harry Mount, a journalist who used to edit Boris Johnson's columns when he was a star writer at the Daily Telegraph, explains that he's great at making you feel good in public despite not having worked together for more than a decade, never having really been his boss. Mount says, to this day, Johnson greets me with, "Cripes, it's my boss," which is flattering for me as strangers think the bald guy must be powerful. The ability to flatter and make other people feel good goes some way to explaining how Johnson managed to win 2 terms as mayor of London, where voters historically tilt toward the UK's center-left Labour Party. It's not a center-left Labour Party, it's left. Second, there are his politics and his ambition. He played the decisive role in making Brexit happen. In 2016, under immense pressure from the then Prime Minister David Cameron to back the Remain campaign, Johnson broke ranks and backed Brexit at the last minute. It made him the hero of Brexiteers. Boris has that undefinable quality of leadership. He can persuade people to back him and go in a direction they may not have initially supported, says Jacob Rees-Mogg, a long-standing Eurosceptic and Johnson supporter. Only someone with his kind of optimism can get people behind Brexit. But others think that Johnson's decision to lead the Brexit campaign was nothing more than a deliberate political move. Morgan, a Remain supporter, explains the suspicion among some is that Johnson did this knowing it would eventually burnish his leadership credentials. Yeah, okay. All right, but I doubt that it's that Machiavellian. I just don't see that being the case. No secret in ending up in high office was always his aim. Mount says it was always clear he saw journalism as a ringside seat for the main contest, and he wanted to do that. In his ambition, pushed him to saying he works really, really hard. He gets up at 5 a.m. He devours the newspaper, would be on the phone by 6:30 a.m. wanting to discuss the day. This according to Good O'Harry, who served as Johnson's director of communications while he was the mayor of London. His approach is very much like a journalist. He cuts to the chase very quickly, spotting relevant details and seeing the wood from the trees. Not a characterization that Simon Heffer, under whom Johnson worked at the Telegraph, agrees with. He's utterly selfish, according to this man, according to the boss at the London Telegraph. He's utterly selfish, completely oblivious to the sensitivities and needs of others, and is entirely unprofessional. But aside from that, he's a great guy. We saw this when he was the mayor and needed numerous deputies because either he was too lazy, not capable, couldn't be bothered with the detail of what was required to do the job properly. Well, I would say that the editor-in-chief, perhaps, of the London Telegraph is not somebody that is going to be friendly with Boris Johnson. Two different views of the same person. However, it's entirely possible that both are true. It's wrong to say he has a short attention span or that he's lazy. Give him a difficult bit of ancient Greek and he's happy as Larry. It's the important stuff he finds boring, and that will be difficult. He's not going to fall over and hit the nuclear button with his arm. But he does get bored, and he doesn't do boring. He does not do boring. No shortages of stories from lurid allegations about his personal life, including affairs, being sacked from an early journalism job for fabricating a quote. Perhaps worst of all, a recording exists of Johnson appearing to be complicit in a plot to have a journalist beaten up. The allegations prompted BBC journalist Eddie Mair to accuse Johnson of being a nasty piece of work to his face in an interview. In an interview with Mair, Johnson brushed off or dismissed the allegations, though he was indirect in his responses. During time as foreign secretary, Johnson's loose words were used as proof by Iran that jailed British-Iranian Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe had engaged in propaganda against the regime. Johnson later publicly apologized to the House of Commons, saying that his comments should have been more clear. Another example of his decision-making came earlier this week when he failed to defend Kim Darroch, the UK's ambassador to Washington, following the leak of comments in which Darroch was critical of U.S. President Donald Trump. It has since emerged that Johnson's lack of support prompted Darroch to resign. When you look at the appalling response he gave to the Kim Darroch question, you see how lacking in integrity and leadership he is, said Heffer. Again, this is the guy that runs the London Telegraph. To say Johnson's character is deeply flawed is like saying water is truly wet. If he becomes prime minister, he will be the man most deficient in probity ever to hold the post. Wow. I don't know that I don't know that those guys are ever going to be friends. What do you think? So he wins. He is now the Prime Minister of Britain. What is he going to do? How will he get along with President Trump? I don't know. I have no idea. All I can say is that the situation has changed in Britain. More of the Wells Report coming up.
It is a horrible scenario, but it happens. Dennis writes about his wife. She was diagnosed with leukemia. In fact, she's a 2-time survivor. And in the midst of all that, they ran up over $1 million in medical bills. Thankfully, they're Medi-Share members. And Dennis says they are so thankful for that, how others came together to meet their needs. And that's how so many Medi-Share members feel. This is not health insurance. It's different. You don't have to pay for things you don't believe in. And like Dennis found out, it just works. So if you join Medi-Share, not only do you save a lot of money, the typical family saves about $500 a month, but you know where your money's going each month. You're helping people, and if the time should come, they'll be helping and even praying for you. So yes, it's different, and as more than 400,000 people now know when it comes to healthcare costs, different is beautiful. Find out more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
I used to wonder when I saw people going into nice hotels, really nice hotels, taking a pillow with them. That was before I got a MyPillow, because I know it doesn't matter where I'm going, whether I'm going to a 1-star, 3-star, 5-star hotel, MyPillow goes with me, whether it's just overnight or whether it's on vacation. And here's the great deal about MyPillow right now. The lowest price ever offered on radio or TV. 2 MyPillow premium pillows for $69.98. That's only $34.99 per pillow. The lowest price ever offered on radio or TV. And it's still the same pillow. Great pillow, 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. And call them. 1-800-951-8175, or go to MyPillow.com, use promo code USA, click on the 2-pack special, and get the best deal you've ever gotten on a good night's sleep when you get a MyPillow.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm loving my Balance of Nature. Since I started, I have not gotten one cold. I kind of fight everything. I get a little tickled, but it goes away.
It's just amazing the difference I felt. I want you to know how much I appreciate the counseling and so forth and your attention to your people. I have been a pretty big advocate for the Balance of Nature. I don't know how many truck drivers have asked me, how in the heck do you keep going at 88, 89 years old? I said, Balance of Nature. If they want to really enjoy some good health, get on Balance of Nature.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. For a limited time, you can receive a 30% discount and free shipping on your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code USA.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-610-5739. 800-610-5739. That's 800-610-5739. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. This has long been overdue, and I am very, very glad that people are finally beginning to do something about what is called Antifa or Antifa. It's Antifa. It's anti-fascist, apparently. And I got to be perfectly honest with you. They are what they claim not to be. Everything they do is fascist. They are simply thugs. Senator Bill Cassidy said that he and Senator Ted Cruz have introduced a resolution that would designate Antifa as a domestic terror organization for attacking Americans who don't agree with them. It would give law enforcement greater tools, greater permission to use those tools in order to combat Antifa. Antifa is spreading from the west, where it started, to different cities farther east. Their intimidating tactics would be stopped where they are and not allowed to spread, said Cassidy. He is a Republican from the state of Louisiana. The resolution came after Antifa, a far-left group known as anti-fascist, was involved in multiple violent incidents in recent weeks. The text from U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy says this: Antifa are terrorists, violent, masked bullies who, quote, fight fascism, unquote, with actual fascism, protected by liberal privilege. With bullies, they get their way until someone says no. There must be courage, not cowardice, from the elected officials who allow violence against the innocent. A 69-year-old armed man was killed last week by Washington State Police as he attacked a local Immigrations and Customs Enforcement office. The attacker had sent a manifesto to friends the day before in which he wrote, "I am Antifa." He was lionized by members of the organization and called a martyr. Just a week earlier in Portland, Antifa members clashed in the streets with a far-right group called the Proud Boys, resulting in several arrests and injuries. Conservative journalist Andy Ngo was attacked by members of Antifa. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler faced criticism after the attack, since police officers failed to intervene to stop Ngo's assault. Ted Cruz, the Republican from Texas, referred to Antifa as domestic terrorists. He also said that Wheeler's handling of the situation should be investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He wrote this in a text today. He wrote this in a text July 18th. Antifa is a terrorist organization composed of hateful, intolerant radicals who pursue their extreme agenda through aggressive violence. Time and time again, their actions have demonstrated that their central purpose is to inflict harm on those who oppose their views. Antifa is a terrible organization filled with terrible people. It is the exact antithesis of life in America. Oh, James Parker, who, by the way, filled in for me so ably last Friday, has corrected me saying that his name is actually pronounced No instead of Ngo. It's NGO. And so I pronounced it Ngo. James pronounces it No. So I guess James is right again. By the way, James, thanks very much for filling in for me, brother. It was awfully nice of you. So it's Andy No, in case you don't know. See, I didn't know before James corrected me. Okay. By the way, Cassidy said absolutely this sort of violence should not be tolerated on the right or the left, arguing that Antifa seeks to deny opponents their freedom of speech, and use of limbs, and being able to be in public without bleeding, and all of that stuff. Let me point out, the Portland mayor told the police to stand down, both a year ago and most recently. In the meantime, reporters are getting beaten up, lives are threatened. We need politicians, if you will, to show courage, not cowardice. We need to step forward and stop this before it steps further. I agree completely. Antifa is a terrible organization, just like I said. Terrible organization with terrible people in it. The faster it goes away, the better. You're listening to the Wells Report. The chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, is next.
There's no question you need omega-3s. But which form should you take? Fish oil or krill oil? Scientists have debated this for years. Luckily, there's a new solution to satisfy everyone. It's called Krill Omega 50 Plus. It combines ultra-pure fish oil and joint-soothing krill oil together in just one tiny pill. It's so powerful, it can promote the health of your heart and your arteries. And if that wasn't enough, it can also boost your joint comfort in just days. We're so sure Krill Omega 50 Plus will work for you. We'll even send you a free bottle to put to the test. The debate is over. It's not fish oil or krill oil. It's both. And now it's free. Just pay $4.95 for shipping and claim your free bottle. Call now. 1-800-399-6392. 1-800-399-6392. That's 1-800-399-6392.